70-year-old Reba McEntire finally reveals the truth about Kelly Clarkson. Reba McEntire was born Reba McEntire on March 28, 1955 in Mallister, Oklahoma. She was born into a family deeply connected with the culture of rodeo and rural traditions of the American West. Her father, Clark McEntire, was a champion steer roper, and her mother, Twellen, was a school teacher who recognized the musical talents of her children from an early age. Reba, along with her siblings, learned to sing at an early age, often performing harmonies together during car rides. Music was not just a pastime, but a way of life. And this foundation would eventually guide Reba toward an extraordinary career that blended her rural roots with the glamour of stardom. Having modest beginnings, Reba's journey to fame was far from instant. She was first discovered while singing the national anthem at the National Finals Rodeo in Oklahoma City in 1974. Country star Red Steagall overheard her performance and was immediately impressed by natural vocal strength and authenticity. With his encouragement, she traveled to Nashville, where she eventually signed a recording contract with Mercury Records. Her first singles in the mid-1970s achieved only limited success, but Reba was determined. She worked tirelessly, balancing her music career with her education at Southeastern Oklahoma State University, where she studied elementary education and retained her naturally down-to-earth personality. By the 1980s, Reba began to break through the competitive world of country music. Songs like How Blue and Somebody Should Leave showcased her emotional delivery and crystal-clear voice, catapulting her to stardom. Her sound, rooted in traditional country, resonated with fans who craved authenticity during an era when country music was beginning to lean toward crossover pop. Reba distinguished herself through her ability to interpret lyrics in a manner that felt deeply personal, like telling her own story through every song. Her live performances were equally compelling, marked by warmth, charm, and unwavering connection to her audience. Through the 1980s and into the 1990s, Reba McEntire would reach superstardom and become one of the best-selling female country artists of all time. Her ability to show deep emotion in songs such as Whoever's in New England and The Last One to Know made her a household name. She had a knack for choosing songs that told stories of heartache, resilience, and everyday struggles, resonating deeply with fans who saw their own lives reflected in her lyrics. With her fiery red hair, commanding stage presence, and heartfelt performances, she carved out her own place in the country music world. Through the 1990s and into the 2000s, Reba would attain superstar status, not only as a country singer, but as a multifaceted entertainer. She would be awarded several major awards, including Grammy Awards, Country Music Association, CMA Awards, and Academy of Country Music, ACM Awards, putting a stamp on her reputation as one of the most powerful vocalists in country music. Her albums would rise to the top of the charts as hits such as Fancy, Is There Life Out There, as well as The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, became anthems of her amazing ability to weave a tale together with dramatic performance. Beyond her recordings, Reba delved into acting, starring in films such as Tremors, and later, headlining her own successful television sitcom Reba, which would last 6 seasons, taking her to an audience much larger than country music alone could provide. The personal life of Reba also shaped her career and legacy. She has lived through her share of triumphs and tragedies, including that awful day in 1991 when so many members of her touring band died in a plane crash. Despite the grief, she continued to honor their memory by going forward, resilience and strength in the face of loss. Her marriages, including her long relationship with manager Gnarl Blackstock, played an enormous part in her personal and professional journey. Though, she has spoken candidly about the challenges of divorce and starting over. Through it all, Reba's authenticity and willingness to share her struggles with her fans made her not only admired, but deeply loved. Much like her career, Reba McEntire's personal life has been filled with both joy and challenges, and her marriages were very defining roles in her journey. Her first husband was Charlie Battles, whom she married in 1976. Battles was a champion steer wrestler, well known in the rodeo world and significantly older than Reba. At the time of their marriage, Reba was just at the outset of her career, still finding her footing within country music. Charlie was also a rancher, and together the couple shared a love for the Western lifestyle. For a period of time, Reba lived a ranch wife sort of life, helping with chores and trying to balance the demands of a blossoming career with the expectations of married life. However, with her growing fame and the required time and dedication to her career, strains started to appear in the relationship. Reba has spoken candidly about the challenges of this marriage, explaining that their goals often stood at odds. Charlie wanted a traditional home life, while Reba's star was on the rise and pulling her toward a larger world of performance, recording, and travel. Despite over a decade of marriage, the union could eventually not withstand such differences, and in 1987, the couple divorced. Though painful, this turned out to be a turning point in Reba's life, freeing her to pursue her music with full dedication and laying the ground for the amazing career expansion she would soon realize. 2 years later, in 1989, Reba found love again in her marriage to Gnarl Blackstock, who had been a steel guitar player at her band before becoming her manager. Gnarl was deeply involved not only in her professional life, but also in her personal one. The marriage marked a new chapter for Reba. This time, her personal and professional worlds were inextricably linked. With Gnarl, the couple created Stark Entertainment, a management and production company, which would play a huge role in making Reba into one of the most successful and recognizable figures in country music. Gnarl provided strategic guidance and support that complemented Reba's extraordinary talent and work ethic, and together they became one of Nashville's most powerful couples. Their marriage also expanded Reba's family life. Through Gnarl, she became a stepmother to his 3 children from a previous marriage. And in 1990, the couple welcomed their son, Shelby Blackstock, who would later grow up to become a professional race car driver. For over 2 decades, Reba and Gnarl's relationship seemed to be both a strong personal partnership and a highly productive professional collaboration. However, after 26 years of marriage, the couple announced their divorce in 2015, a decision that stunned many of their fans. Reba herself admitted that the separation was not her choice and that it was one of the most difficult and heartbreaking experiences of her life. Still, she displayed the resilience she had always been known for, continuing to maintain her career, her family ties, and her characteristic warmth even during this personal trial. At the age of 70, country music icon Reba McEntire is reflecting on her life and career with a kind of openness that only comes with time, experience, and perspective. In recent conversations, she has begun sharing her true feelings about her former daughter-in-law and fellow powerhouse vocalist, Kelly Clarkson. For years, speculation surrounded the nature of their relationship. Were they close? Were there tensions? And how did the dynamic between them change after Clarkson's divorce from McEntire's former stepson Brandon Blackstock? Reba, never one to shy away from speaking her mind, has decided that the time has come to clear the air. Kelly is one of the strongest, most talented women I've ever known, Reba explained with a mixture of admiration and warmth. For McEntire, Clarkson was never just a girl who married into her family. She was an artist in her own right who brought a fresh energy to country and pop music alike. Reba recalls Clarkson's meteoric rise to fame after winning the first season of American Idol in 2002, saying, "I saw her perform back then, and even though she was young and still finding her style, I knew she had that rare gift that comes along once in a generation. Her voice can knock you flat on the floor, and her heart comes through every note she sings." When Kelly married Brandon Blackstock in 2013, the connection between Reba and Kelly deepened beyond the music industry. Reba had already known Clarkson as a colleague and friend, but now she welcomed her into the family. "We laughed a lot together. Kelly has this down-to-earth sense of humor that reminds me of home." Reba admitted the two even shared the stage on multiple occasions, delighting fans with their powerhouse duets. Their rendition of "Because of You" during their 2007 collaboration remains one of Reba's favorite performances. When you sing with Kelly, you don't just trade lines. You share a story. She puts everything she has into her music, and it makes you want to rise to the occasion and give your very best. But Reba also allows that life is rarely simple, especially when personal relationships and family ties intertwine with careers lived in the spotlight. When Kelly and Brandon went through a very public and painful divorce, the situation inevitably touched Reba as well. Divorce is hard, no matter who you are or what your life looks like. I love my family deeply, and that includes Kelly. So when their marriage ended, my heart hurt for both of them. I didn't pick sides. I just wanted what was best for everyone involved, especially the kids. Her honesty reveals not just affection for Clarkson, but also the balancing act Reba has had to perform as a mother figure and mentor in the family. She was clear that her respect for Kelly never diminished. Some people think that when a relationship like that ends, you stop being close. But love doesn't just disappear. I'll always care for Kelly. She's a fantastic mother and a committed artist, and she has an indomitable spirit. Looking back, Reba is most proud of how Kelly carried herself during those tumultuous years. She stood tall. The hard times never silenced her voice, and that's something I admire. Kelly's always been true to herself, and that's something we can all learn from. I know what it feels like to go through divorce, and I know the pain of trying to find yourself again. Kelly did it with courage and grace. In sharing her truth, Reba wants to give to rest any rumors that she and Kelly were ever estranged. Well, here is the simple truth. I love Kelly Clarkson. I always have, and I always will. She's family no matter what, and I'll keep cheering her on every step of the way. At 70 years old, Reba McEntire has reached a point in her life and career where she speaks with a wisdom that only comes from decades of living through triumphs and tragedies. Known as the Queen of Country, she has not only sung about heartbreak and resilience, but has also lived through difficult losses in her personal life. That perspective has made her a source of comfort and strength for those around her, particularly her former stepdaughter, Kelly Clarkson, and Kelly's two children with Brandon Blackstock, River Rose, and Remington. Recently, Reba opened up about how the children are coping with the devastating loss of their father, Brandon. And her words carried both gravity and compassion. Kelly's kids are so strong, stronger than a lot of adults I know, Reba shared, her voice heavy with emotion. When children lose a parent, especially at such a young age, the world becomes a confusing place. But River and Remy, with Kelly guiding them, have shown